want to talk about Mary Magdalene. Who was Mary Magdalene? Now, what we were told in Scripture, the earliest text, she was one of the earliest followers of Yeshua of Nazareth, right? According to the Bible, she traveled with him and witnessed miracles, right? What's interesting, the story of her flourished in the first century, right? And she was mostly celebrated. And the reason why I say celebrated, and she was the original prophet, okay? And the reason why I say this is because the book of Mary. Now, the book of Mary is a very it's not, it's a lie, okay? Not the book itself of Mary, the knowledge of Mary, the depiction of Mary, okay? Now, the depiction of Mary was that she was a sex worker, a saint, a sinner, a witness, a wife, right? But that's not what I'm seeing, okay? Written from Yeshua had, okay, and I Da Vinci Code, okay? And in the Da Vinci Code, it talks about who Mary Magdalene truly was, right? She spread the gospel, okay? So, the book reveals a precious little insight into her life. Now, and you see how they say they called her a prostitute, okay? Now, she could have been a prostitute too. Who cares, okay? The thing is, she was cleansed, okay? So what's interesting is the way they made it seem like she was a prostitute, okay? And it's interesting because out of all the disciples, okay, all of them, Mary Magdalene was the one that first traveled, okay, and shared the words of Yeshua, right? Now, in some theories, Mary was actually Yeshua's wife, right? Now, when we look at Yeshua, there is a bloodline here, okay, an actual bloodline. And this was hidden. Now, the reason why I say this is because the movie The Da Vinci Code, okay, talks about her bloodline, okay, and how she had to flee, and why they were after Mary, and why all the others despised Mary herself, okay. Now, there is a book of Mary, okay, that was taken out of the gospel. And I believe Mary has a descended bloodline, okay? Did she have children? Okay. Now this is all talked about in the movie The Da Vinci Code, okay? But why they hid it is because the truth of Mary will be told. Okay. That's why they hid the Gospel of Mary. Okay. Now, in the early Christian texts deemed unorthodox by men who shape the Gnostic Catholic Church, was included from the canons, and subsequently they erased her from the history of Christianity itself. Okay, in the early Christian movement. This is why this is interesting, because she was the first witness of the resurrection. She was considered by the Apostle John as the founder of Christianity. Yes, the founder of Christianity, long before Paul. Okay. Hold on, you guys. So long before Paul, long before Paul. So it's interesting that they made the movie The Da Vinci Code, because it's saying that there was a bloodline, there was children, children. Now, also in the Da Vinci Code, it said that Yeshua himself married Mary Magdalene, and she had descendants. This is why the book of Mary is not in the gospel, because this knowledge in the text and the recount of her story was never to be told, never. So it was hidden. And I find that kind of interesting that they would hide the gospel of her, and the secrets, because in Christianity, she was heavily, she was harshly criticized by the apostles, Peter and Andrew, and many others, so she had to flee. That is what you're seeing in the Da Vinci Code. She had to flee with a child. I truly believe there's a descendant of this bloodline, and the Catholic Church and other churches know this, but the way they made her out to seem was she was the prostitute. She was the sinner, but was she really the sinner? Was she really the prostitute? And this is interesting. This is an interesting topic. The Book of Mary. There's a whole Gospel of Mary that was hidden. Now, what's interesting, they actually found this book, in Egypt, in a desert, a little over 100 years ago. It was mentioned early that this gospel has had trouble becoming known over the past 100 years. It was taken to Germany in the early 1900s. But by accident, wars kept it from being translated into the German dialect. The gospel is clearly example and translated well. Other books have focused on problems with the original Coptic manuscripts and raised by conservative critics. It is fairly easy to find translation online. You can find this translation of the Book of Mary. Now, I believe in the Da Vinci Code, for many years they have tried to hide this information of clearly the true gospel of Mary and the true teachings of Mary. This is why I disagree with them saying that Mary was not the first prophet, because Mary was the first prophet, okay? And Mary had a bloodline. Now, she had to flee, okay? She had to flee. And they hid so much information about her because they didn't want us to know the truth about Mary, okay? In Da Vinci Code, she was carrying a child. So there is a bloodline, okay? A bloodline. So the birth of Mary is very interesting because it said that she was born in Israel. The death, I don't believe the death or the birthplace of Mary is the true birthplace or the true death of Mary, okay? I believe there's more to Mary's story. And it's interesting because see, if you look at the narrative of the Bible, right, there are so many women in the Bible. We had Esther, we had Ruth, we have many strong women in the context of the scripture itself. But Mary was the most important scripture, okay? Mary, Enoch, Solomon, the wisdom of Solomon. But there is a bloodline here, okay, that was never supposed to be revealed. And that actual bloodline was the movie, The Da Vinci Code as we know it. Okay, you guys. So this is why I things are hidden for a reason, because once we know the truth of who she was, and they even made it to seem like she didn't have a child, okay? She had to flee, okay? Because she was the first prophet. It was not Paul, Peter, it was Mary herself, okay? This is what I truly understand. And the movie The Da Vinci Code is telling you the true story of Mary, but her story is told only in the book of Mary, the Gospel of Mary herself. Now, what's interesting too, she traveled. She spread the gospel. So in today's society, Mary would have been a preacher, okay? So how can they say a woman cannot stand behind the pulpit? Okay, that's not true. A woman can spread the gospel. And to show evidence, in fact, what they tried to hide for so many years, that in fact she was spreading the gospel, okay? So when they say that a woman cannot stand behind a pulpit, they're contradicting the very essence of who Mary Magdalene was. Okay? All right, you guys, this is Jennifer Felix. Once again, there is a descendant bloodline of Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene, there is scripture. There is a book of Mary, her story, and it talks about the child, and it talks about how she spread the gospel. Now, this was depicted in the Da Vinci Code. Okay? All right, you guys. Comment below your thoughts about the Gospel of Mary. I'm sending you guys love and light. Love and light, my beautiful souls.